All right, y'all, it's time to jump into our Q&A. Y'all submitted a bunch of questions, wanted to know some different aspects about being on the show and auditioning, and it's time to give you those answers. So we're gonna just jump on in. Oddly enough, very well. I specifically took the kind of mentality that I wanted to properly rest and relax about 48 hours before we filmed the episode. So I did a lot of intense studying and practicing just to make sure my puzzle solving skills were up to par. But there was a moment in which I kind of had this feeling of like, I know what I know, and it's not going to change by me trying to cram last second. So for the last like 48 hours before we filmed, it was just me trying to relax, like lavender oil essences, my favorite music, my favorite foods, eating right, exercising, and just making sure I was in like kind of like a healthy routine so that when it got to taping, I would feel rested and not worried about any ailments or anything like that. So when we got to the hotel the night before, I actually slept pretty well. It also was a little bit of a journey getting to the hotel and things like that. So there was a slight amount of exhaustion, which I think just kind of put me in the right spaces. Like, we got to the hotel, we ate some food, and then we went to bed. We had a very early morning. So that I think was genuinely helpful. I had three major goals. The first was I wanted to spin the wheel. I just wanted to get my hands on that wheel. So just being able to like do that was already like a major stepping stone for me. Number two was I wanted to solve a puzzle. Just a singular puzzle, which thank goodness for Thursday and immediately getting that first toss-up puzzle like right off the bat. I think that was really helpful in getting me to just kind of relax and enjoy the ride and just have fun with it. Because I knocked out by that point, it was a guaranteed two of my three, requirements, if you will, would already be fulfilled. And the third, I really wanted to make sure that I didn't have like any sort of like viral moment for the wrong reason, which actually leads me to another question that I'll kind of answer with this as well. I actually didn't feel relief. Obviously, yes, I was overwhelmed with joy, once we finished taping. And then the next day, as I was processing, I was a little worried about my emotional reaction kind of becoming a viral meme. Meme isn't the right word, but I think I'm a viral moment. Because there are people in the world who just don't want to see positivity or happiness or joy. And I felt like there was a possibility that there was going to be some online trolling happening of people maybe thinking that I'm faking these emotions or that I'm too overly emotional for Wheel of Fortune and things like that. So I did have some worries and concerns about that aspect. And crying on national TV wasn't the plan, but that's what happened. Mind you, the reaction I've gotten has been overwhelmingly positive. I will comment on the fact that I don't think people know that I've seen these posts. The two major things that have kind of happened that have been like, that's a little yucky. There's been quite a few people that have made comments about my lazy eye, which is okay. It's not something I can fix. Technically I can. I guess I could pay for the surgery to get it realigned, which we did that when I was younger and I was in high school. I actually had a couple eye surgeries to try to straighten them, and at this point I'm just rocking with it. I know it's there. It makes me me. I don't really care. And people are just going to be jerks, and that's what you want to get me on, fine. I have fun with that. And then the other part, which was a little shocking and disturbing, was seeing a deep fake photo of my parents and I. So in the image, it's so interesting. there are multiple screenshots. This is from the Thursday night episode specifically of me wearing that burgundy shirt. And there are screenshots surrounding the deepfake image that are real to what actually happened during the episode. Me trying to solve Bouillon Cube, the head tilt of like me contemplating and trying to figure this out, Ryan Seacrest. And then there's this part of it. This shocking, disturbing, concerning portion of this. First of all, who is that man? Because that's not my father. The smooth arm is so concerning. My dad looks like a black Santa Claus in this moment. It's very weird. All three of us, our teeth have been altered. Our teeth don't look like that. It's very weird. I wish my beard looked this good and my skin was that clean. Also, my arm is huge. I got Stretch Armstrong arms in this picture. It's a very, like, the more I kept looking at it, the more I kept getting freaked out. And I called my mom, because what happened was I was scrolling through Facebook, and it's one of the like fake like news organizations or articles. And they had written an article, supposedly written, I should say, about like a rule change, and a lot of Wheel of Fortune fans being upset about a rule change. And this was the accompanying photo. And I think Facebook shared it or like on my feed because they thought I would want to see it because it was me and because I was looking at a lot of Wheel of Fortune content at the time. But it made me so very uncomfortable to see my parents and I being deep faked in that moment. And kind of that like loss of agency over my imagery and my body in a weird way. That took a little bit out from me. So I was very sad. Because also, from a logical standpoint, that picture doesn't make sense. The picture is from the Thursday night episode, which, as we all know, I didn't get the bonus round for, which meant I never got to interact with my parents in that way for the episode because I didn't get the puzzle. And also, I genuinely didn't understand why you wanted to create that imagery, because you could just get the real thing from the Friday episode. Like, it's a positive image, right? They just wanted to see our family hugging and being joyful, which you get Friday night. 24 hours later, you get that imagery and it's real. You don't have to fake it. So it was a confusing moment. I've moved past it. I have my own personal feelings about AI, especially after experiencing and seeing that. So that was interesting. But to answer the overall question, those were my goals overall, and I was happy with how things ended up overall. So I would say I definitely hit all three goals. There is a Wheel of Fortune gauntlet, and maybe boot camp is a better word. I'm gonna go with boot camp, and it genuinely is a boot camp. So the way the day works, you start off in basically kind of like production meetings, but like you getting to know the rules, the categories, and like all of the instructions you need to know about how to play the game. But then it's time to get on your feet and kind of start piecing it together. And you do it through a very quick and intense boot camp session. So 3 random people. It's not the people that you necessarily play with on the episode. 3 random people are thrown up on stage. They like work on like adjusting your heights to get you all like comfortable at a position where you can bend over the rail and spin the wheel. And then you start going through it. You'll pretend that there's a puzzle on the board, and someone will be like, all right, X name, spin the wheel. It'll spin. Okay, you've landed on 500. What are you going to say? Can I have a T? Louder. Can I have a T? Louder. Can I have a T? 3 T's. What are you going to do next? I'd like to buy a vowel. What did you say? Can I buy a vowel? What vowel? E. Oh, there are no E's. Next player. And it's that tempo. It is very quick, and it is a wild cadence of you just like go, 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 go. And I mean, for me, I did actually find it helpful. I can see how it could be overwhelming, and I think it was overwhelming for some of my tape mates. Because I think it's a lot of information for you to process at the same time. You get a packet of rules that you're trying to remember and go through. We were also processing and dealing with the fact during the rules explanation was when we found out that there was a brand new bonus round that was happening that Friday episode. So we were also like, what do you mean new bonus round? Like, so we were also kind of dealing with that. We get to the set and it is gorgeous. It is so well done and it is beautiful, but also it's a lot of cameras and a lot of lights. And you're seeing the puzzle board for real for the first time, and you got your used letter board, and it's a lot of information for you to take in. You know, they're telling you, hey, make sure you're not looking at the wheel while it's spinning. Make sure you're looking up. You should be thinking about what letter you want to call next. Make sure you clap in between every single action pretty much that's taken during the show. It is a little overwhelming. So I would say that boot camp, and I would love to hear like other alums like point of view about that boot camp. Did you all go through it? What was your experience with it? Because for me, it definitely got me hyped, but I just wasn't expecting it in that moment. I'm not going to lie. I would say the majority were. I would not say all. I'm not going to name any names. But I do think there were a couple of people who were more hyper focused on winning than they were about the experience overall, which you are entitled to play the game however you see fit. And I know there are people that are just competitive. I do think it ultimately led to some frustration on their part of like setting high expectations of I need to win 100,000 or more, or else like I didn't do a good job in the show. And for such a unique once in a lifetime opportunity, that's just not how I wanted to approach it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just not what I wanted to do. But I do think it kind of altered some other players' enjoyment during the filming process. I also want to recognize there's a lot of privilege of me saying that. I walked away with all this money and this trip. And you know, like being the winner. So it's really easy for me to kind of stand on my soapbox and be like, yeah, you should be more positive during your taping experience because like I won, you know? So I do want to recognize that fact, but there are a couple people that kind of come to mind of like, for their sake, I wish they would have gone into it and just had fun instead of being so focused on I have to hit X dollar amount. That being said, majority of the contestants were so sweet and kind of fantastic. Mike from the Thursday episode, he and I walked on the lot like together. It kind of instantly became like contestant buddies, who then ended up having a face off during our Thursday episode, which was really fun. So we got to talk a lot like about, you know, my experience when I used to live in Indianapolis and why we became so obsessed with game shows and Wheel of Fortune. There, of course, is Taniqua and Tony, who are just two of the brightest and sweetest people you will ever meet in your life. And being able to face off against them in the finale was just like, I'm so very thankful to share that stage and that moment with them too. And they are two people who, if you get to talk with them just for a little bit, you'll walk away smiling and just feeling uplifted. It just so much joy. And I like I said, it feels kind of like a class reunion like a small class reunion, but it's a group of us, the 12 that everyone saw. And then there's also 3 alternate contestants that were a part of the group as well that, America didn't get to see, but like they were also a part of our experience. And we got to do this together and have this unique once in a lifetime opportunity together. So it does kind of have like a class reunion vibe. And I kind of want to be able to like reconnect with everyone, like, I don't know, have some sort of like DraftKings Casino multiplier tournament like reunion where we all get together and share stories and just kind of look back on the experience. I would love to do that. So first, what are Ryan and Vanna like? Y'all, they are 2 of the biggest cheerleaders you will ever meet. So kind, so sweet. I look back at that experience and I look back specifically about the like synergy that Ryan and I had. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why it was just so easy for me to like click and connect with him. It was just magnificent energy on that stage, and it felt like I had been like working with Ryan for like years for some reason, and I had never met the man before the day we take. Literally, our first time meeting Ryan is when he walks on stage to film the episode. There is no like meeting of the host beforehand. So like my first time meeting Ryan was me standing and behind the wheel up taping our episode, and it immediately clicked. I don't know what to say. But I genuinely, those 2 and everyone on the production of Wheel of Fortune, from Bellamy, the executive producer, all the way down to lights, hair, makeup, stage management, sound, all just positive, all just supportive, all want to see you win and want to see you thrive. And it genuinely is just an incredible energy on that set. Going into, that moment with the hug with Ryan Seacrest, 100% real, 100% genuine. And I think it's just because of Ryan could tell the like passion that went behind my gameplay. Ryan could see like the love of like my family and like how much the show genuinely meant to me. It was such a human moment. It was just such a moment of like, in this moment, it was just Ryan and Chorsie. And just having this like, I see you, you did it. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Top 3 hugs of all time. I definitely, without a doubt, I could feel just the love and the care in that moment. I've done the Wheel of Fortune live, which if you haven't, number one, I highly recommend. If you can get tickets to the tour when it starts back up, please do. It's a fun time. During one of the first years of the tour, I bought like a VIP spin the wheel package. So I have this video of me like actually getting to like step up to the wheel and give it a spin, which is like really cool. And that wheel is 7/8 the size of the wheel at Sony Pictures. So I kind of had like a rough idea of what the size of the wheel would look like. I would say overall it about matched what I thought. For me overall, when it came to seeing the studio and the puzzle board, I think I was so overwhelmed that I wasn't really looking or thinking about the size of things. Because I was just like, oh my God, this is happening, right? I'm really here. And I know I've heard a lot of people say, oh, the wheel is smaller than I thought. And I think people are just imagining like 16-foot wheels and are just like stretching, the size of the studio, which is not realistic, but also it's TV, baby. That's how it works. So for me personally, it was about the size of what I expected it to be. I guess I'm going to reflect on 2 different moments. So the one is like realizing great champion and like that moment, and then bonus envelope opening. So when it came to like the great champion and like winning the tournament, it's a culmination of so many different thoughts and emotions all hitting at the same time, of watching reruns of Wheel of Fortune on Game Show Network, and the obsession I've had for the game since I was a young lad, of building my own wheels, hosting the game for my parents, having every iteration of the game possible, from board games, video games, PC games. There was even a handheld version where there was a gold knob and you would twist it and the wheel would spin, and then it would cause the wheel on the screen to spin, and it plugged up to your TV. Every version of Wheel of Fortune that I could find, I owned. And I think about like those memories and like loving the show. And I think in my heart of hearts, I genuinely never actually expected to appear on the show. I'm glad that I kept trying. You know, I'd auditioned for 4 years before I finally got the email for the tournament. And I think it's something that's like, oh man, this would be really dope. But I don't think I genuinely believed that I could do it. But I still kept going for that 1% chance that it happened. From my understanding, like, millions of people apply each year, and I think it's something around like less than 700 get to appear on the show each season. So the odds are, those are some odds. Those are some difficult odds. And realizing going through all that, right? Not just getting on the show, but getting to play the game not once but twice, winning both games, getting to be the tournament winner, getting to be the only contestant who has ever done this unique bonus round, at least for the American version. I understand that there are some international ones that have done something similar, but at least for the American version, I'm the only person in the world that has done this specific version of that bonus round, and that's a lot to process and take in that moment. The pride that I felt of being able to represent my family well and my community. It was really important for me that when I was there, you know, that I was representing Whitehall well, and kind of giving back to the community that I felt like helped create and form me. Yeah, that all that kind of hit at the same time, and so it was a whirlwind of emotions that all just culminated in that moment. For the bonus round envelope opening, I'm not gonna lie, it immediately was the dollar value. Like, it opened, and so I kind of forgot what the multiplier like numbers were, 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times. I'd forgotten about that aspect. And so he was like, okay, it's time for us to like look at the envelope or whatever Ryan said. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And then I saw it 3 times. I was like, okay, so 4 times 3. Oh, that's a 6-digit number. And that's where my brain immediately went to. It was, oh, so it's not just like $20,000. That's like $120,000. What? So like immediately overwhelmed of like, oh, that's so much money. Oh, that's so much money. I cannot believe it. And then, you know, the confetti moment with my family and like that final dollar amount being announced was just like, what? When I flew to Wheel of Fortune, I think I had $300 in my bank account. I want to say, I think it was like 300. So like, I've never seen any number higher than like 4 digits in my bank account, right? Definitely had some moments where it's been a negative number. And so it's just like, seeing that was wild. And also, it was an immediate recognition of, oh, this is going to make me debt free. Like, that means I can pay off like credit cards and student loans, and like, this is like a reset moment for my life. Like, I will be able to finally just like be financially good. Yes, I'm still going to work. It isn't like I'm going to take off of work or things like that, but I can finally have like a financial reset in my life, which is really comfortable. It's really comforting knowing. So first of all, yes, I do pay taxes. You pay taxes on all of your earnings, whether it's cash, prizes, cars, trips. That's all considered taxable income. So I will pay taxes on everything. So that does include the trip to Thailand. The trip is all encompassing. And what I mean by that is airfare, lodging, the special like tours, all of that is included in there. It even comes with a stipend for you to have like spending money when you're out there. It is all a part of the package. So like it truly is a like everything is taken care of for you. Anything you want to do extra, yes, obviously that comes out of your pocket. So for example, the trip is for 2 people, but I want to take both my parents on the trip. So I am paying to have a third person added onto the trip because I can't imagine taking one parent without the other. And that is a once in a lifetime opportunity that I want to make sure they also get to experience. The trip has not been like taken yet. You still have to like get the dates approved by Sony and things like that. So still in a process of doing that. But I'm really excited. So the way this worked, high is, what was like a moment that like brought you a lot of joy, a lot of energy, excitement. Low doesn't necessarily have to be negative, but it is like not quite like, your high moment. So something that might be a little bit more preserved or maybe a little more concerning. And then Buffalo is just like the shocker. So imagine that you're in the middle of like a supermarket and a buffalo's just standing there. Like that's your Buffalo moment. Why is this here? I'm going to say my high moment was there is a moment as I was getting ready to do the final bonus round. And so they brought my parents back on stage and they're talking me through the rules. Ryan and Vanna are giving me words of encouragement and excitement. And I look over after Ryan and Vanna leave, they then go talk to my parents. And it is such an incredibly cool moment to look across the Wheel of Fortune stage and see your parents interacting with Ryan Seacrest and Vanna White. And that picture, that imagery is like forever imprinted in my brain because it brings me so much joy. Like having my parents, having my family being a part of this process was so very important to me. So that moment in particular is just like, man, that's top tier. And one of my dad's favorite moments is when he meets Vanna. He went, just to be kind and respectful and a gentleman, he went to go give her a handshake. And Vanna was not having any of that nonsense and was like, nuh-uh, give me that hug. Come in for the hug. So it's just like the amount of joy and excitement that my dad got to experience of like, I got to hug Vanna White. And I'm like, I get it. Me too. So that's absolutely my high moment is like, and it makes sense because really it's about celebrating my parents and my family and being able to share that moment with them is so very precious to me. My low moments, so I may be vague. So I don't believe there are certain parts of this story that are mine to tell. But I would say the low for me is Liz's bonus round. So no one is going to just see this because it would never make the final edit. Liz's bonus round had to be redone during taping. So what happened was, and I wish I remembered the specific puzzle. Liz had had like spun the wheel and was working on the bonus round puzzle, had called the letters, And when Liz made an attempt at the board, the answer that she provided did not have an S at the end of it, but the answer on the board had an S at the end. The audience starts erupting with excitement when she says the word or says the words, and then the puzzle is revealed, and they indicate that she has solved the puzzle and has won the prize. So Ryan then opens up the envelope, and it's a good amount of cash that's in the envelope. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then there's a pause, a very long pause. I remember the crew not striking the bonus wheel off of the stage, and that being the indicator to me that something was wrong. Some of the other contestants, we were chatting up in the contestant holding area, and I remember someone making a statement I don't think she said the S. I don't remember hearing her say the S. And quite a few of us were yeah, I didn't hear the S either. Ryan then comes back kind of center stage to address the audience and explains that the judges had been reviewing the tapes and she didn't say the S, which means she didn't solve the puzzle. So what they're going to do is they're going to give her a new puzzle of the same category, and then they're going to reshoot. That first bonus round is null and void, and they're going to redo the new bonus round. So the bonus round that America got to see for Liz was actually her second taping, and unfortunately she doesn't get the second puzzle. And this is when I'm going to become a bit vague, because again, I think this portion of the story is not mine to tell. But there was an emotional reaction from quite a few of us contestants. And I think in part because it's so... When you go through something like this, you instantly start clicking and caring about these random strangers that you've never met a day in your life. And it was heartbreaking to see Liz go through that. It is heartbreaking to experience that loss with her, and me, especially as an empath, it kind of got me choked up a little bit of feeling that yes, the situation was handled absolutely correct, and that is what needed to happen. But it's also it does suck, both of those statements can be true. It's just kind of the way it is. Yeah, I think the emotion of that moment of seeing that happen was the low for me. The Buffalo moment for me, this may not be 100% what was intended with the question, but this is what I think of. When we first got to the lot, they make us go through security. You get checked, your bags get checked just to make sure you're not holding anything nefarious, anything like that. And then they tell us that they're walking us to the lot so we can go through our rules and instructions and all that. And we walk in, and I'm thinking we're walking to Wheel of Fortune because that's what we're here for. No, they walked us and we did our rules in the audience of the Jeopardy soundstage. And that was such an incredibly cool, exciting moment that caught me so off guard, because I wasn't expecting to walk in and see Jeopardy in very large letters and see the iconic stage. And when you're at the Jeopardy soundstage, behind where the audience sits is kind of a shrine to Jeopardy and to Alex Trebek. His host lectern is there with his last cue card and the glasses that he wore when he hosted. all of like their Emmys that they've won are in this huge, beautiful case. All the different like memorabilia and all the different types of like Jeopardy like games and articles and all that also sits in a case. And then there's like a contestant like holding area for Jeopardy. It's like this lounge area that's so cool and has this like cool lighting and has all these pictures of like previous Jeopardy champions and goats and TLC winners. So I was like, that was my Buffalo in the sense of like, I was expecting to be, you know, in a Wheel of Fortune space and then walk down to the Jeopardy lot. I didn't. The way the studio is kind of set up, um, the wheel is like basically on one side, and then all of our friends and family and loved ones are kind of clear across. And I'm sure that's done intentionally to make sure there's no cheating that's happening, no like feeding of answers or anything like that. So I didn't get to see my parents realistically until the bonus round when we did Bouillon Cube and I went to go spin and then they were there. But I never actually once looked for them in the audience while we were in the, because also they don't want you doing that. They don't want any sort of indication that you may possibly be cheating or trying to like communicate with your friends or family, and they tell you that in your contestant packet. So while you're filming, it's basically like you are just there for the game. You are there only for the game. With the way the lighting design of the show is done, what you need to see is what's lit up, and what you don't need to see is pretty much in darkness. That's kind of just how it is. So yeah, you're focusing on Ryan, Vanna, the board, and the wheel. Like those are your focal points, and then your other contestants. That's pretty much about it. But it was genuinely, I still kind of like don't believe this moment, but like looking across the way for the bonus round and seeing my parents standing on the Wheel of Fortune stage still doesn't feel real. I've seen the episodes a lot. I know it happened, but it still is just like, that is an unreal image in my head that like we were on that stage together. We got to have that moment and that experience together. Y'all, there is so much that happened that I genuinely wish everyone, like the cameras were rolling, that everyone would get to see. The three that kind of pop into my head. The first one is, we do this thing called a hometown howdy. So when your news station is informed that you are going to be on Wheel of Fortune, they can roll this like 15-second clip that is like, you like, hey, you know, I'm Chorsie from Whitehall, Ohio, watch me play Wheel of Fortune. And my hometown howdy, I really liked my hometown howdy, and others did too, to the point that it started clapping when I recorded mine. But it was never seen. I still haven't seen it. I kind of hope I could get a copy of my hometown howdy at some point, because I'd really love to see it, because of, I don't know why, but you know, the episodes didn't air in the intended slots for the Columbus viewing market, and there was no promotion of me being on the show, which 10 TV, ABC6, Fox 28, NBC4 have all chosen to just not acknowledge me being on the show. And even after the fact, like literally like record-breaking, history-making contestant from our community, and all four of these news organizations have just chosen not to say anything about it. And it's not that they don't know, because I definitely have had friends that have like, you know, submit a tip, you let a reporter know. So like, they have been contacted, they are aware. It's very weird that they've just chosen not to acknowledge that. But One is definitely that hometown howdy. It is just such a like burst of joy and excitement that I wish everyone got to see. The second one is I got to do an interview with Ryan after winning the tournament. Also didn't get a chance to like see that. But it was like really cool being interviewed by Ryan Seacrest, and getting to like chat with him about like what does this moment mean to me, and you know, how is this going to impact my life now that I've like won the show. And I don't know what the plan is with that interview, if it'll ever happen. But like, yeah, I got to do a full interview recorded with Ryan, that I also haven't gotten to see. But that was a really cool moment to like say that I've been interviewed by Ryan Seacrest. And then the third one is, I don't remember which episode this is. I'm so sorry. But they like pause tape and they have Ryan like hold where he is. And where he's holding is his hands on my shoulder. So we're just standing in that position for a little bit while they're trying to figure out something. I think a camera went down. I think that's what it was. Maybe one of the cameras wasn't working. I'm not 100% positive. But Ryan at one point is like, Chorsie, you smell good. What are you wearing? And I kind of freaked out a little bit because I was like, oh my God, what? What are you talking about? What? And so I stumble a little bit and then go, it's Christian Dior Sauvage. And then I just remember Ryan going, Sauvage. And it made me cackle. So it was so random. It was like the intrusive thought just won in that moment. And it was just so hilarious to me. And that's why, you know, in the letter that I wrote, I'm like, you make sure you get that Sauvage, Ryan. Because also I was like, oh, you like my cologne? You like my, oh my God. So yeah, I would say those are like 3 moments that no one really, unless you were there, you didn't really get to experience or see, that I wish we had cameras rolling for. I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and there are a couple that are kind of on my radar right now. There is kind of a like cooling off, like waiting period. So you can't just like go out and just like film 20 different game shows. Each show kind of has their own rules and stipulations. But I do think the next one that I want to do, I was actually just watching this with my parents last night, is Pressure Luck. It is, in my opinion, such a fun, exciting show. And I love the way Elizabeth Banks like holds the reign of that show and how she's hosting it, and how it stays true to the original format, and have also done some updates that make it fantastic. So I would say that is definitely high on my list. I'm not a social bluff person, so no, I'm not going on Traders, y'all. It's just not happening. That's not who I am. And I do okay with trivia, but I'm not Jeopardy level trivia. I know who I am as a person. I'm okay with that fact. So I would say, yeah, probably Pressure Luck is like probably like the next one on my list. So I say all that to say, it's really so important, so crucial. Continue to keep like watching the video, the likes, the shares, all of that is going to be so key to helping me kind of reach to that next level of making that dream come true. So, you know, make sure if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have so many plans for what I'm going to be doing in the future. And I'm really excited to share it with you all. So, see ya.